When you have China and the USA, especially when it comes to the markets and the economy, if this one is going down and this one is significantly going up, there can only be so much separation there. At some point, one of these is going to have to turn to get back closer to the middle. What do we know? We know that US stocks, equities, whatever you want to call it, are at all-time highs. Okay? Not right now because it's pulling back, but this week, right? All-time highs. So our markets are flying high. Now, one thing to understand is that the market does not equal the economy. Stocky, the economy's in the shit. Why is the market going up? The market is heavily manipulated as well. Okay, please understand that. It is a heavily manipulated, asset bubble. Okay, everything is a bubble. So I don't like to use the word bubble because bubble incites fear. And the truth is everything is a fucking bubble right now. Okay, credit cards are a bubble. Student debt is a bubble. Housing is a bubble. Car loans are a bubble. Okay, everything is a fucking bubble right now. Okay, but the bubble can continue to grow as long as the economy grows. At some point, there will be a point where one of the two have to meet each other. And similarly, our global economy is very interconnected. So just to give you an idea, the only bubble I like is a bubble butt, if you know what I mean. All right. The global economy is not what it used to be. So forgive my drawings, guys, but it's just, I'm just kind of doing a thing here, okay? Okay. The global economy used to be much slower and much more spread out, okay? And what I mean by that is that back in the day, one economy, they were autonomous. You know what I'm saying? Like the U.S. economy was different than the Asian economy, which was different than the EU economy. They would have some effects on each other, but it was very isolated as far as the actual economy of a country or a continent, and it would have some bleed over effects. But now everything is intertwined, and I don't just mean through shipping and whatever you have everything. Everything is interconnected. Okay, banking, currency, internet, cloud, everything is interconnected on real time, and that's why a lot of people say, 20 years ago, if you wanted to protect your portfolio, you diversified through different markets, right? Like different international markets. But that doesn't work so much anymore because now if the U.S. market tanks, the rest of the world's going to tank. If the Chinese market completely tanks, there's going to be some bleed over effect. If the EU market tanks, people just laugh. But otherwise, it's all interconnected. So, what has me concerned right now? Well, several things. The biggest concern for me as far as the actual stock market, the actual equities in our market, is China right now. Now, what is happening in China? Okay, in China, the government is cracking down on what we like to call private businesses. Okay, private businesses. And what I mean by that is the CCP likes to have control. What is wrong with a communist? Not wrong. What is the dangers of being a private business in a communist government? They can take over anything for the people at any time. Some people praise that. Some people dislike it. That's up to you. There's nothing you can do. And the problem with countries like this, when there isn't freedom and they can shut down, social media and do whatever like that is that they can actually make people disappear. You disagree with them, you go to an internment camp or re-education camp or whatever. That's one of the things about communist and socialist governments that we see is that you don't have that kind of private business where you can have internet stay up. I mean, they shut down Twitter and Facebook. They shut it all down. They just black it out. So if there's any problems, they just black it out and it doesn't happen. And if you speak out against it because there's not an open platform, then you just disappear. Okay. We don't know what happened to Jack Ma, but that's just there's conspiracy theories. Now, without getting into the politics of it, the geopolitics of it, let me talk about from an economic standpoint why this matters. Okay, why this matters. The CCP is cracking down on a lot of businesses and calling it what we would call antitrust. Okay? And basically, this is accusing them of being too big, being monopolies, having too much power, and that they need to come in and break that up. So, We have seen them cracking down on so many different businesses. It started with the Ant Group. This is where it all kicked off. This was Baba, founder Jack Ma, okay, left the company and was putting up the Ant Group. And this was going to be a massive IPO. I went all in on Baba because of this. I knew that once this IPO, this was going to bring so much goddamn valuation. The CCP nixed that. And then they started going after other big conglomerates. They started going after Baba, JD, Bilibili, etc., etc., etc. This has not slowed down. And we saw the Hang Seng last night again. Chinese stocks, which are huge in the global economic market, are getting crushed. Now, why are they getting crushed? Well, you can look at this. Nobody knows. Everything is speculation. Some of the several reasons. Number one, question mark, is it because they're trying to burst the bubble early? What does that mean? Well, do they see that everything is heavily overinflated and they know that there's going to be a crash coming at some point and they're just trying to get it slowly bleed out of the way now so that way when the impact does happen, they'll be the first ones to rebound, right? It's like ripping the Band-Aid off fast. It's going to hurt regardless, but do it quickly so you don't feel the pain over a long period of time. Is that the reason? Number two, question mark. Is it an attack on the global economy? Is this all about, let's cut off our nose to spite our face? We want to be the next superpower. Let's bring down everybody else. Maybe. I don't know. I mean, you never know. Is it simply about control? Is this their government saying, hey, these private companies are getting too much power and too much revenue and too much, global, they're outpacing our control. Let's rein them in now. There are so many things and everyone's going to have their own opinion. Nobody knows. Okay. It's all speculation and all guessing. What does this matter to me? Why am I even giving a shit about this? Well, because I look at a global economy, especially in equities markets, and I say to myself, you have a lot of superpowers out there, but it's literally the USA versus China. Okay, this is like the Cold War 2.0. But instead of space race and military superiority, it's about economy superiority, right? Who has the strongest currency? Who has the most control of the global economy? All right? And one of the things that I will say about this is that obviously there's lots of speculation. Obviously there's lots of not hostilities, but there's a lot of tension and the whole nine yards. But what I'm looking at right now is, regardless of the reason why China is cracking down and the markets are sliding there, is that when you have China and the USA, especially when it comes to the markets and the economy, if this one is going down and this one is significantly going up, there can only be so much separation there. There can only be so much separation. At some point, one of these is going to have to turn to get back closer to the middle. Okay, there's tension. This global economy, this is continuing down while this is continuing up. Something has to change at some point for there to be some kind of creation back to normalcy. Something has to snap. You pull a rubber band long enough, something has to snap. Something has to give. Okay, kinetic energy is going to build up, and it is going to be a release at some point. Okay, ask your mom. All right, so look, right now we're seeing China fall off. We're seeing the U.S. go up. At some point, something has to give. The question is, which one? Either you're buying the dip here, or you're taking short positions or liquidating here, or doing a little bit of both. I'm doing a little bit of both. I'm legging out of some of my very profitable positions here, taking small short positions here, and buying the dip here. Because either this is going to reverse or this is going to reverse. I don't know which one. I don't know how massive it's going to be. Maybe it slowly bleeds back together and I get wrecked. I don't know. All right? At some point, it's going to happen. All right? If this continues down and doesn't go back up, this is going to have to come down and everybody's going down. Or this is going to continue up and people are going to say, okay, this is cheap, it's priced in, we're valued, and now we're buying the dip and we're going up. One of those is going to happen. So I'm seeing this week right now as kind of like a oh shit moment. for a lot of reasons. Why this week? Now, for those of you guys that are long-term investors, you ain't worried about it. What I did is I liquidated 10% of my equities this morning. I took 4% of that and I hedged it with tech shorts, and I'm keeping that 6% to add to my other 5% cash, so I'm sitting on 11% cash right now. And if there's a pullback, I'm just going to buy equities with that cash right now. That's just what I'm doing. But don't follow what I'm doing. That's just what I'm doing because it's my own fucking tinfoil hat shit. Now, why does this week matter to Stocky the most? Why did Stocky choose this week? Well, number one, the China sell-off has continued from last week. I was waiting to see if it would continue, and it is fucking continuing. Okay, Baba's getting wrecked, Didi's getting wrecked. Well, not Didi. JD's getting wrecked. All of them are getting wrecked. Okay? So, that is a concern. Why this week? We have massive earnings week. We have 165 of the 500 companies on the S&P reporting earnings this week. On the Chinese side, we saw it coming, especially on the smaller ones. Like, we talked about it on Friday about how Didi was about to fall off a cliff, and it's been down like 40% since then, unless you're cold and you keep buying. But this is a massive earnings week. You also have Apple, Amazon, okay? You have Microsoft, you have Google. They're all reporting. Some of them are going to do good, some of them are not going to do good. But even if they all do good, it can keep the market going for a period of time. But the second biggest concern for me, guys, is something that no one is talking about on the equity side right now, okay? And that is the moratorium and eviction freeze ending this week.